Hop. Right now, we have another special episode of Wrestling underscore Hip Hop. I'm with the one and only Shane Taylor. How you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm real good. How are you?
I'm great, man. I learned about you. I gotta shout them out, man. It's an Instagram page. Be shouting out all the black wrestlers. I think it's called Black Wrestling. The Instagram
Mm,
page, the dude from the UK.
yeah.
Yeah, so I gotta shout them out. That's how I heard about you. But I've been reading more about you. So the first thing I want to talk about, I was reading you're from Cleveland, and you was talking about how your family, your parents and your uncle, your dad and your uncle grew up like fighting off drug dealers and stuff. So you said you grew up like in that. I read a clip of that. You was talking about that.
Yeah, man. I mean, growing up on the east side of Cleveland, it's you have to grow up fast, and that's nothing that anybody who's grown up in an inner city sort of lifestyle, there's not much that I have to explain about that. Um, but yeah, my dad and my uncles just wanted to let people know, like, hey, whatever you're gonna do is what you're gonna do, but you're not gonna do it on our corner, like right by our house. You know what I mean? So, and when you mess with people's money, there's consequences for that. So, they would fight them off. Our house would get shut up. I remember not being able to sit on the couches in our living room. We had to always stay on the floor whenever my dad went to work or whenever, just in case. So um, those are things that you never forget, and those are things that stay with you. And so my perspective of the world, my perspective of society, is a little bit different than most people.
But I was looking at it like just that means your dad and your uncle, they're like heroes. That's like they was really doing some heroic stuff back then.
Uh, I don't think they'd call themselves heroes. I think they just say that they were doing what they should be doing. You know what I mean? As men, as fathers, as uncles, like they're protecting their family. That's what you're supposed to do. Um, and it's one of those things that they wouldn't ask for credit for because it's something that they feel should have already been being done. So my dad and uncles are heroes for other reasons. Uh, Probably not for that one though.
Mm. And then, so how did you end up? Just talk about your earliest memories of wrestling. How did you end up being a wrestling fan?
Um, I remember my dad would take me to go see matches at the Richfield Coliseum back when that was still up in Richfield, Ohio. And my dad used to go lift with like the Road Warriors and all these cats. And I used to be there watching them just lift ungodly amounts of weight. And I used to go to the venues and sit on the ring and hang out with these guys. And they were just such larger than life guys. They were like superheroes, So going to the matches, I remember one in particular was Texas Tornado versus the Warlord, and it went
Mm.
to a double count out, and the building absolutely went bonkers. You're talking about people throwing stuff from the rafters, right? And I'm sitting there going, whatever they're doing to make people this mad, I want to do, right? Because I'm antagonistic by nature, right? I like to push people's buttons to see what they're going to do. Um, so once I saw that, I was hooked, and then once I got into it more, guys with the presence of like The Undertaker or Vader, Stan Hansen, watching them in Japan, it just um, never being a kid who had the six pack, I was just a big kid and was able to throw hands and fight. So that really resonated with me and sort of has transferred into what you see today.
Yeah, speaking of throw hands, I was reading that you boxed for over 20 years.
Yeah, man, I've been boxing since I was, ever since I can remember. Um, didn't compete because when you compete, you have to register, and I got into far too many fights to do that. So, but just all my uncles and my dad are all Golden Gloves. You know what I mean? So we know how to take care of ourselves, uh, and we're never ones to go out looking for issues. You know what I mean? But we're also not shying away from. You know what I mean? So. Um, I just tell people, to watch your mouth. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not one of those cats you really want to play with.
Are you a boxing fan?
Oh, 100%. 100%. That is other than wrestling, it's my favorite sport. The skill set, the sweet science, the art of boxing is what I like. And to me, there's two types of fans when it comes to boxing, right? You have boxing fans, and then you have fighting fans, and they're not mutually exclusive, right? Because, in my opinion, anybody can go out there, have a war, punch each other in the face a million times, and for fighting fans, that's exciting. As a boxing fan, I'm kind of upset because there's no real skill in that. I could watch two drunk guys go beat each other up. That's not why I'm watching. I want to see the defense. I want to see the setups, the counters, the feints. I want to see you hit and, and and weave and dodge and just get out of the way of that shot. Like, that's what I want to see. To be able to hit and not be hit is the goal, right? That's why one of my favorites is Floyd, because he's so skilled defensively, so skilled with timing and accuracy. In my opinion, he's one of the greatest of all time.
Now I just thought about it. Is that where you got your name? 'Cause I know you got the Shane Taylor Promotions. Is that where you got, like, Mayweather Promotions? Is this how you kind of?
It,
Is that
there's
a
there's
nod to him?
there's elements of that. More specifically, what drew me to that is his ownership, right? His ownership of his name, his ownership of his brand, to be able to leave Top Rank, betting on himself, to say, hey, I know what I'm worth, and if you're not willing to get me where I need to be, then I'll do it myself. And he's done that. You know what I mean? So I definitely took elements of that, but who I am as a person, um, and who I am as a character, really aren't that far apart. They're almost the same person. Uh, and what people see now with the Shane Taylor character is I've taken little bits of some of my favorite fighters and morphed them into one guy, right? So you have the in-ring tenacity and power of a Tyson, right? That killer mentality. Then you have the showmanship uh, aspect of Floyd, the ability to talk you into a fight, hype a fight. And then on top of that, you have the leadership, the social awareness, and the community aspect of an Ali. That ability to lead, to be unapologetic, to be exactly who you are and stick by those guns. I've taken three of those elements of some of the best fighters in the world and molded them into my perspectives and what I like to do, and that's what you get.
And then how did you end up, like, starting, like, when you first started to be a wrestler? Where did you go? How did you start off?
Started off in Cleveland, a guy by the name of Ray Rowe, who is now Eric, Viking Raiders fame, and a guy by the name of J Rock uh, trained me in Cleveland. Once they did that, I started traveling the roads with them, all through the Midwest, all through the East Coast, and then started to build a pretty good name for myself there. But back then, the Midwest and the East Coast scenes weren't popping like they are now. So 2014, Ray had moved down to Texas, and he was saying, "Hey, there's a lot of great opportunities down here. You can kind of reinvent yourself." So I took that chance, started over, and it was the best decision that I've made. I got into, met some really great people, guys like Jax Dane, guys like Keith Lee, guys like Lamont Williams, who I already knew in Cleveland. But I got to wrestle for some great places like Wildcat Sports and VIP Wrestling. And all of those platforms led me to Ring of Honor. And then here we are.
Yeah, I was looking. I said, look, you found a home, because I saw you just re-signed with him, and it looks like you started with him in 2014. So you've been with him for a while. So how was it being a part of Ring of Honor?
I mean, it's been great. I really wasn't official with them until about 2016.
Hmm.
That's when I got my contract, and then Um, it's been a struggle at times, as any new place is, especially when you're talking about dealing with some of the very best in the world on that platform, on that level, and then you talk about the history that they have and the legacies that have come before you, right? So you're not just competing with your contemporaries, you're competing with the past too. You're competing with the ghosts of ROH, so to speak.
Hmm.
Um, and so for me, it's been a challenge, but it's one that I was ready for, and one that I'm happy to continue to face head on, because for me, it's about bringing the new age to Ring of Honor. You know, I respect everything that's happened before now, um, but in my mind, that's the past. We have to move forward, and we have to create a new golden age of Ring of Honor. And I think we're well on the way to do that. And I am happy to be one of the people that's sort of leading that charge.
And then what was the most? I know you. They say I read that you lost over 100 pounds. So what inspired you to lose so much weight?
Just changing things up, man. When you're a big guy in this sport, people tend to put a ceiling over what you can do, to how far you can advance. They like to put you in a box, and I just didn't want to have a box. You know, for me, I know the kind of matches that I can have. I know the kind of performances that I can put on, and I wasn't going to let anybody limit my opportunity. So I wanted to make sure to take as many reasons for them to say no away.
Mm. And then, so what's your current goals for your career right now?
My goals right now are pretty simple, man. I want everything. Uh, I am a guy who is competitive, maybe to a fault. Um, I feel as though I have been the MVP of ROH for the last few years. You know, other guys have had great runs and had great years, but I think consistently I've been the guy. And now with Khan, Moses, Ron Hunt, O'Shea, Edwards, and the rest of Shane Taylor Promotions, I feel as though we positioned ourselves to be very successful in 2021. We are the number one contenders for the world six man tag team championships. I'm the number one contender for the Ring of Honor World Championship. The match with Roosh, it was announced that we will have that match, so we're sitting down at the negotiation tables and knocking those deals out and knocking out the details of that. And man, it's just success for me and success for my guys, because if I'm elevated, great, but it's better when I can bring everybody else with me, and that's the whole point. Um, so we want everything. We want the world title. We want the six-man titles. We want the tag titles. We want the pure title. We want everything. You know. So uh, for us, it's just about continuing to do what we do, continuing to show the world exactly who we are, stand firm in that, and keep putting on for the people.
Yeah, then I was watching from the announcers. It sounded like the match with Kenny King was upset. I would say, would you say that was like your biggest match or one of your biggest matches so far?
I think it definitely put me on this path right now. Um, because coming off of Final Battle now 2 years ago, I lost the title to Dragon Lee, um, and come back late 2020, trying to get back on a roll against a guy in Kenny King who's a friend, who's a mentor, who's already beaten me twice. You know, so uh, I've made no secret that the only two legacies that I'm chasing in ROH is Kenny King and Jay Lethal, right? I've accomplished being the TV champion, which they both did, and now I'm after the world title, which only Jay Lethal has done. So for me, it was a necessary step to beat Kenny, to be able to try to start to surpass that legacy that he set. Um, and at that time, that was probably the biggest win of my career. Um, and then, was able to continue with the six-man victories, and then Jay beat Jay Briscoe at Final Battle. Um, Only cemented the fact that I am the best that I've ever been, uh, at the highest level that I've ever been to, and right now I am ready. I am ready to be the guy. I am ready to sit at the top of the mountain that for so long people said was only for one. So I am ready to be exactly who I'm supposed to be, and that's the Ring of Honor World Champion.
And I say, well, why did you say only Kenny King and Jay Lethal? Them the only legacies you're worried about? Because that's big
Because
saying Ring of Honor. A lot of people came out of Ring of Honor.
very true. But for me, especially being an African American male, I feel as though because we're here at the same time, because we're all here, we're all in our prime, we're all doing this right now, our legacies are going to be compared. I feel like that's just how it's going to happen. And of course, they're still going to stack up to the Joes and the Punks and all of those guys and the McGinnises and the Danielsons. But for me, um, those are two of the guys that I respect the most because they know what it's like to be an African American male in this sport, and to have carried themselves as respectfully as they have, as confidently as they have, and to have had as much success as they've had. For me, this is like LeBron chasing Kobe and Jordan. So those are the only two legacies that I'm worried about. Uh, because at the end of the day, for the other guys, that's all a matter of perspective and opinion for a lot of people, right? You're talking about, you know, some of the greatest of all time, and so people are always going to have their favorites, right? So with me, Kenny, and Jay, we're kind of in this 3-horse race, um, and so those are the guys that I'm running next to.
Y'all gonna ask you what is it? How is it being? You was talking about they know what it is being an African American in this sport. So how is it being African American in pro wrestling?
It's tough, you know, because you're fighting a lot of bias, you're fighting a lot of um, subliminal stuff, you're fighting a lot of stereotypes, and so now you've got to go out, and not only do you have to be great at what you do, you've got to be 3 times better than the next person to even get the same shots, right? And it shouldn't be like that, but that's how it is. And you have to be that much better. You have to hold yourself that much more accountable. You can't have an off day. You can't say the wrong thing. You can't do the wrong thing because the second you do, people are already looking for a reason to write you off, right? So there's that much more pressure. On top of having to battle against people that don't understand your culture, don't understand your stories, don't understand your perspective, trying to put you in stories and put you in situations that wouldn't mesh with what you do, right? So, from a creative standpoint, it's tough. From a business standpoint, it's tough. From a racial aspect, it's tough. Um, and to know there are gentlemen out there, there are women out there who are fighting that fight, who have walked that path and done so successfully, um, damn near flawlessly, because you have to. It only inspires you to want to continue to walk that path and maybe, you know, knock down some more doors for those that are coming behind you.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the Game Changer Wrestling. They did a For the Culture pay per view, so it was like highlighting like all the black athletes. So I thought that was cool, and I thought like more promotions should do stuff like that.
Yeah, yes, yes, but the thing with that is, and this is no shade to anybody, I want to see that same level of representation and that same level of diversity and inclusion all across the board, not just in the cities, you know, that have large black populations. I
Mm.
want that to be, if you're for the culture now, that's fantastic. Also be for the culture when you go to the UK. Also be for the culture when you go to Japan. Also be for the culture when you go anywhere else in the world. That's what I want to see. Um, I want this to get to the point that we stop celebrating these things as special, because then they just become the norm, if that makes sense.
Mm. So what do you say is the main thing driving you, as far as like just being a pro wrestler and being the best? What's the main motivator in your life?
The main motivator in my life is of course passion for the sport, but it's my family. You know, I for me, being famous was never on the checklist. Doing something that I loved and being able to provide for my family was on the checklist. And of course, you have goals and dreams that you want to get to. Um, but this is what I do. This is how I feed my family. This is how I take care of my kids. Um, And in order to do that the best I can, I need to be at my best. I can't have anybody in my way. I can't have anybody slowing me down. I can't have anybody trying to veer me off the path that I'm trying to be on. And that is to be and to go down as one of the absolute best to have ever done this. So um, that's simply what it is, and everything that goes into it, the training, the performances, the preparation, the study, the interviews, all of that all goes into it. That's all a part of it. um and this is just me putting in work, man.
Well, I'll say even now it's like it's more layers because now it's like social media is another part of it, and then
Right,
people trying to sell merchandise and stuff. So
right.
how do you feel like that's like another added layer to it?
I mean, that's always been a thing, and especially in this era now where the wrong thing said on social media can cost you your career. It's tumultuous times. So you have to be very, very careful, and especially someone who's as outspoken as I am. Um, I think I take more risk because I'm so outspoken. But if I was doing it any other way, then it wouldn't be me. It wouldn't be authentic, and the people wouldn't gravitate to what I'm saying and what I'm doing the way they are. So the only thing that I can do is continue to be me, can continue to say the things that other people are too scared to say, continue to do the things that other people are too scared to do, um, and keep representing myself, my culture, and my community the way that I feel that it should be done.
And then I think I want to make sure I was looking at this right, but it looks like Michael Tarver from Nexus, he did your theme song.
Yeah, the very first one was done by Montezi Moore, called "Different," and that's available on iTunes as well. And I think with just the role that I've been on, I've been so focused in, so on point, um, that I was talking to Tarver, and we came up with the idea for this song, and he absolutely crushed it, man. And this really is, a lion in the jungle. I'm leading my pride, and we are out hunting our prey, man. We are taking everything that belongs to us, and we are taking everything they said that we couldn't have, that we weren't supposed to have. I just put a post up, you know, with all of us, and we were supposed to be, products of our environment, right? But now we create the environment. So
Hmm.
for us, the goal is to always lead by example and continue to be exactly who we are. Um, and again, man, just represent the people and represent our culture in a way that not only our contemporaries can be proud of, but kids can be proud of. The older generation can be proud of, and that doesn't mean that everybody's gonna like us. We don't care. You know what I mean? Uh, like I've said before, we are for everybody, but we're not for everybody. You know what I mean? So, and we understand that. So for those that want to rock with us, grab a seatbelt because it's going to be a hell of a ride. And those that don't, oh well.
Hmm. Then what would you like to say to your fans and supporters?
Man, I can't say thank you enough for supporting me these last 13 years, for helping me have a lifestyle that takes care of my family, for supporting me in everything that I'm doing with Shane Taylor Promotions, supporting my guys Ron Hunt, Khan, Moses, O'Shea, Edwards. Um, it means the world. We are building something here that I think can last a very, very long time and open doors for a lot of people. Uh, and it's only going to get bigger. It's only going to get better, and that's because of the people. So we are going to continue to make them proud and continue to give them a reason to believe in us.
All right, bro. I want to say thanks for coming through politicking with me.
All right, brother. Thank you. Of
No doubt. You want to tell them your social media?
course, at Shane216 Taylor on Twitter, on Instagram, and Facebook.com/notorious Shane Taylor. Thank you for everybody who's listening. You guys stay safe, stay blessed, and support pro wrestling.